2000 and above, they really changed how they manufacture those motorcycles. They are excellent made motorcycles.
Awesome. Anything else we need to cover today, Jay? Anything?
Just make sure if you're riding with a passenger, just make sure your passenger understands when you move to the left or you move to the right, make sure they understand what they're supposed to be doing also. You don't want to have a passenger on the back of a bike and they counter steering, because if you lean to the left and they're like, oh, no, and they moving to the right, that's counter steering. So it makes the bike harder for you to ride and harder for you to steer. Just make sure that your passenger understands if you lean to the left, they lean to the left. If you lean to the right, it makes it for a better ride.
Oh, for sure. What do you suggest? Let's talk octane boost or anything like that when going long distance, maybe crossing state lines that have less octane.
Bikes with less octane, this is what happens. All these bikes should have at least 93 in them.
Okay.
Some places where they don't have 93, they got Cali 91,
Arizona,
this and that.
yeah.
You should put octane booster in your tank. And the reason why is because these motors run hot. The reason why you have to have a high octane in your bike is because you don't want your bike detonating. When fuel heats up, it detonates.
Mm-hmm.
Lower grade fuel detonates faster than high grade. So that's the reason why they recommend you use 93. Remember when our parents had those cars, when they cut the cars off with the key and they stayed running? That's detonating.
Yeah, okay.
Your motorcycle will do the same thing.
Yeah.
And over time, it damages your pistons and your rods and your crank.
Okay.
So you don't want your bike detonating. That's why you should always use 93 above, or if you don't have 93, put octane boost in your bike.
Okay. I want to cover one last thing, if you don't mind, before we shut it down for the day. Let's talk about electrical. If you don't mind, let's touch base on stators, batteries, maybe what I'm looking at, compensators.
Okay, compensators. For all you guys, we're gonna start with the compensator.
Okay.
Because if you are changing your compensator and your charging system is 10 years old, go ahead and change your charging system. And the reason I say that is because compensators, all you guys that have these bikes, I know everyone that has a Harley has heard this sound. You hit the start button and it goes, and then it starts. What that is on the compensator, they have springs. Those springs are weak from the constant starting of the motorcycle. So what happens is the compensator has gears and the spring pushes them together. When they get weak, they do like this. They go in and they come back out. And over time, you can eventually mess your crank up by doing that. So you should always, if your bike is hard to start and it has that clunking sound, go in and have your compensator sprocket changed.
Okay. So again, that comes from when we crank it, we hear a clunk.
That clunk, clunk.
Clunk. Okay.
Like the bikes that it's a clunk, clunk sound, but the bike hasn't started yet.
Yeah, okay.
And then all of a sudden, it clunk and it starts up.
Okay.
That's your compensator.
Gotcha.
Bad.
I got you.
And also, take heed to this because you can hear that and think that your crank is messed up or your bike is tore up. Not necessarily. So don't let someone tell you that you need a whole crank rebuild just based on your compensator being bad.
Okay.
Because I've heard a lot of people come in saying I was told that I need a new bottom end, I need a new motor, and I say, well, all the thing wrong with it is your compensator sprocket needs to be changed.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I'm sure when you're on the road, they want you to get the whole night.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the charging system, stator rectifier. Typically, rule of thumb, if your stator goes out, you have to change the stator and the rectifier because the rectifier gets taken out by the stator. The stator, what happens is, it's a magnet with wires. Over time, it's going to ground out. And once it grounds out, what it does is, because for y'all who don't know, motorcycles are not charged based on DC power. They're charged based on AC power.
Okay.
What happens is the rectifier converts your AC power to DC power and sends it back to the battery. That's how it charges itself. But the initial voltage that's coming out of the stator is in AC power.
Okay.
So for people who don't know, when you're testing your stator, you have to test it on AC, not DC. A lot of people go and they test it and they're like, man, there's something wrong, because you tested it in the wrong form. You got to test it in AC voltage.
What are some signs when what's some signs that your stator's going?
Here's the sign if your stator's going. If you're riding your bike and you can see your voltage meter starts moving a lot. I mean, not stationary. Because typically when the bike is riding, it stands on a certain voltage and it changes based on people with music or something like that. But if you don't have all of that and you see your meter moving all around,
right,
it's probably time for you to test your charging system and get it changed. Now, the one thing I would say with changing the charging systems, stators typically last longer than the rectifier, because the rectifier is the one that's really doing all of the work. The rectifier is converting your AC power to DC power to send back to the battery. There have been several times where I can test your stator. Your stator is good, but your rectifier is bad. So now you're riding and your bike is on 10 volts. You know, your bike needs at least 12 volts to run properly. Because if you don't have 12 volts, the computer doesn't know what to do.
So I should see
No less than 12.5
Okay.
going towards 13 volts.
Okay.
That is the standard. You gotta have that, because the bike has to have 12 volts to run properly.
Okay. Anything less than that, I know I'm in trouble.
You know, guess what? When it start doing all this crazy stuff, that's why.
Okay. And isn't it fair to say if your stator's going and you have to change the stator, you probably gonna need to go and change the battery too?
Yes, because you've already killed that battery. That battery has been damaged, because again, with the voltage being sent through the charging system, I would change the battery also.
Okay, good stuff. We all go through that on the highway, man. That starts to happen, and next thing you know, battery, stator.
But with that stator thing, this is where having the proper amount of primary oil on the stator side comes into play. Because you know, you see guys that it's leaking, they still riding. Well, what happens is the stator heats up, burns itself out.
Wow. Would you say, okay, so I see you got a little sound on yours too. So,
yeah, I got a lot on it.
Yeah, you got a lot of sound. I'm just saying. I've been told by guys who got, nice sound system stuff. I got a stock system, but mine ain't nice at all. Harley, do something about that. I'm just saying. Does that wear on the stator? Because you might have,
it does.
Extra amps and
it does, because when the bass hit, like if you have subs on a bike, when the bass hit, it actually pulls on the battery. When it pulls on the battery, now the stator and the rectifier has to make up the difference. So it's constantly, it's working. It's working. So yes, these stereo systems that have really, I'm talking about these ones that where you can hear the bass.
Oh yeah.
Because typically,
I heard them this weekend.
Yeah, those bikes that you can literally be riding and you can hear that bass in the bike, that charger system is taking a beat.
Wow. So an extra battery don't really matter with that.
Well, for a person that's riding a bike,
right,
like in your capacity, where y'all going cross country, where are you gonna put it at?
True.
Unless you're gonna put it in your tour pack.
Right, and I ain't doing that.
And you're not gonna do that.
That's where my heated suit goes at.
So, what's funny is, this bike only has one battery on it. Even though it has all of this sound on it, it can also be due to the way it's installed.
Okay.
Because if it's not installed right based on ohms and voltage, then yes, it's going to even take a worse beating on your charging system. You just got to have somebody who actually understands what is needed. This bike has one battery, and it is the stock factory style Harley batteries. I don't do, me personally, I don't do the lithium batteries. And here's another thing that you might want to push out.
Okay.
Here's why I don't do lithium batteries. The charging systems wasn't designed to charge lithium batteries. Just think about it. Lithium batteries have a completely different plug than the standard 8GM battery. So if they tell you anytime you're charging this battery, you must use this charger, the bike don't have that kind of charger. So if a bike doesn't have a lithium style charging system, how can it really charge a lithium battery properly?
So are they still using lithium batteries on the new ones, or?
No.
Okay. That's what's up.
No. And people always ask me that question because I get a lot of people coming in asking about lithium batteries, and I say I don't use them.
I remember you told me that a couple of years ago. Don't bother. Do not bother. Well, man, I'm gonna say this, man. Hopefully, y'all got some game today. My man James putting us on. He giving you a game, man. So